Welcome to Reinventing the Arena, the podcast that guides you through the powerful journey of aligning, embodying, and rising into your most authentic self. We dive deep into the transformative power of doing the inner work because the most important relationship you have is the one with yourself. When you align with your authentic self, you naturally attract the relationships and experiences meant for you. I'm your host, Molly Conley, a coach who's passionate about helping you uncover who you truly are using human design, NLP, and self-empowerment tools. Here we explore the art of aligning with your authentic self, embodying your highest potential, and rising above old patterns to create a life that resonates with who you truly are. Whether you're seeking deeper fulfillment in love or your personal journey, this space is designed to inspire your evolution. Together, we'll explore self-discovery, share transformational stories, and uncover the energetic shifts needed to create the love and life you truly desire. This isn't just about change. It's about fully stepping into who you were meant to be. So lady, align, embody, and rise. Welcome to your journey of self-transformation. Welcome to Reinventing the Arena. Why, hello there, lady. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe that I'm about to share these stories with you. And I can't believe that I forgot to add the intro and the exiting audio for the last episode. I was just so excited to get that out that I forgot to add that. So yeah, that also feels really good. It's something that I will mention in tomorrow's episode about being a 3-5 profile type. But today, this is one that I have been really sitting with. So this is the first of the 5 embodiment podcast episodes. In today's episode, we're really going to be focusing on not only energy types, because if you haven't really known much about human design, there's 5 of them. There's the manifester, the generator, the manifesting generator, the projector, and the reflector. And I have past episodes about them. So if you need to, go back to those from the beginning of this year and work your way forward. You can also go onto my website and go onto the blog and read more about them there. But today's episode is going to be primarily focusing on being a generator. And as you may have heard, or if you have received a reading from me, if you have ever downloaded your chart and received the email series about things, if you have downloaded the You Unfiltered report, you've even had even more details. If you have any of that information, you would know that generators are the people that are supposed to have endless energy. We are engines. We are the consistent builders, and we are the ones that thrive when we have something that sparks our aliveness within us. And this can also go for manifesting generators too, because they are a subtype of a generator. But my experience has been very different. And this is why you cannot go ahead and say, well, I'm a manifester, so this is how I am. And I'm a projector, and this is how I am. There are so many nuances to each and every one of your designs. That's why I described the onion layering in the first episode that kicked this off. So living my design has actually made me slow the fuck down. Just honest here. It has softened me, it has grounded me, and it has completely changed how I care for myself, how I show up in relationships, and just in my everyday life. So in today's episode, I want to redefine what generator energy can really look like, especially if you're like me, your chart doesn't fit the textbook definitions that are found in human design. So for the last few years, or even just like the last few years, I tried to operate like the typical generator stereotype. Be consistent, show up every day, produce, hustle, be on, be happy. But my energy would just shut down anytime I forced myself into these sort of situations or routines that I thought were going to be good for me, but just really honestly didn't feel good. So That might look like, especially if you've listened to the podcast before, you know that I would force myself to show up on Instagram every single weekday. I allowed myself weekends off, and that was hypothetically okay. When I would overwork myself, I would hustle. When I first started this business, especially, I would work so late at night and into so early in the morning sometimes. I wouldn't take weekends off. I would work on vacation, which is part of the reason why I got out of corporate life. Why would I do that to myself now? I don't know. Just felt like that was something I was supposed to do. One of my problems is that I am a creative person and I still like structure. So I would try to plan when to be creative. And if you have, seen on Instagram, or if you've been on my email list for a while, you know that I've been creating, or I've actually been painting a scene from a trip that Brad and I took in February. And I am going in spurts on being creative around it right now, which has been great. But before, I would force myself to sit and look at it, and I couldn't get the energy to work on it. So I wasn't even responding like my normal strategy and authority to creativity. And then there's also how I would feel guilty of not really matching other generators' output. So I wasn't as productive as other generators, including, people that I have coached, people that have done human design readings, my friends. Like, my energy as a generator just wasn't matching up. And sometimes I would think like something's really wrong with me. So it became impossible for me to ignore that my body and my energy were trying to tell me something completely different than the typical generator energy. So eventually I realized I wasn't necessarily failing. I was forcing myself into a pattern that really wasn't mine to begin with. And the more I live my design, the more I see that my generator energy is deeply responsive, but it's not predictable. It's not linear, and it's not meant to be forced. And so instead of pushing through change, my design has helped me ground into it, to move slower, to care for myself better, to care for others better, including, my relationships, my clients, to prioritize my health and relationships, and to choose which environments really do nourish me. And this is what embodiment really looks like. And once I noticed, or actually saw this pattern, I gave myself permission to explore what alignment might really look like for me. One of the first places I looked was my undefined and open centers, because those were shaping how my energy was showing up more than I realized. So before I dig into these, or dig into my undefined and open centers, let's take a look at your chart. Go ahead, pull it out if you have it. And if you don't, just go to my website, download it for free right there. Pause this episode and come right back. There's 9 different centers, and for now, look at the ones that are colored in. Those are defined centers. You create the energy of the center. It is consistent, it is reliable and steady for you. You can actually influence others with this energy, and you experience this theme in a very, we'll just say, stable way, maybe not always consistent, but pretty regularly. Now, take a look at the white centers. If you have some with numbers colored in, that is an undefined center. If you have a center that doesn't have any numbers colored in, that means it's open. Both undefined and open centers will absorb and amplify the energy of others, but they will do it differently. So in undefined centers, you will feel the energy intensely because you receive this energy from others. It's inconsistent, it's sensitive, it's absorbing. Now, one wonderful note is that you gain so much wisdom through your undefined center theme. As for open centers, this is where you absorb everything in that center. You often behave in ways that really aren't you. You will feel extremely sensitive, deeply conditioned around the theme of that center as well. So, this is more of a lifelong area of struggle, personal struggle. And what that means is that it also turns into a lifelong area of wisdom. So, undefined and open centers is where we can leak energy the fastest. This is because we chase pressure that isn't ours. We take responsibility for emotions we didn't cause. We can push our bodies to match someone else's pace. We even try to force our voice or even force our identity. And we try to keep up with defined people. That's just a few examples of how that can show up for you. So now let's go through the centers that I have undefined and the one I have open. So I'm going to start at the top. Obviously, this may or may not apply to you depending on your own definition within your centers. I have an undefined head center, so I'm absorbing inspiration and pressure to figure things out. With an undefined ajna center, I'm amplifying others' certainty and feeling like I should know everything. I also have an undefined throat, which makes me feel pressured to speak or perform and feel unheard or misunderstood. It is quite crazy that I have a podcast. I will just I will just say that right now. I also have an undefined G center, which means I am deeply influenced by location and people around me. Then there's my undefined solar plexus, which is the emotional center for all of us. And I amplify other people's emotions and can, fall into people-pleasing tendencies just to soothe over any issues of confrontation or even just to soothe my own emotions. Now, my last undefined center is the root center. Here, I have the pressure to get things done in order to relieve pressure that isn't mine. All right, now, last but not least, my completely open ego center. Within this center, I experience the most intense conditioning, which you would too for any open center. And with the ego center, the conditioning that I receive is around self-worth. I'm constantly feeling like I need to prove myself. I need to be perfect, and comparing myself to others is a pretty big issue. So having this many undefined centers and the open center means my energy is sensitive, it's fluid, responsive, and I am deeply affected by my environment and the people around me. And that means I'm living my strategy and authority of waiting to respond constantly, which, as you can see, can be energetically draining. So working alone is honestly some of the best things I've done for myself ever. Until I need to move my stagnant energy. So like sometimes when my husband Brad is working from home and is slightly stressed, I can feel, I hate it. I can feel this anxiety building up in me. And I actually have to ask him, like, on a scale to 1 to 10, how stressed are you today? And I do that in order to gauge what I need to release and what I need to feel more like myself again. And of course, Brad is very used to these scale questions because this is how we also say who's ready for dinner or when we're ready to have any sort of meal. So I've been leaning into these undefined centers more than others to help me recognize my own energy shifts in a variety of ways and areas in my life. But alongside of that, something else clicked for me, which is my circuitry. I have not talked about this on the podcast before because this is just another deeper layer within human design. But within everyone's design, know that there's 3 different kinds of groups of circuits. There is the individual, the tribal, and the collective. So individual means yourself, tribal means your close friends and family. It even might be your surrounding community of your neighbors. And then collective really means the collective, like worldwide. So most of the time you have a mix, but still at least one pretty dominant circuit. The majority of mine are individual. Basically, I don't follow the pack, and instead I lead by example. When I embraced this very simple concept, it gave me permission, once again, to do things differently. The deeper I went, the more I realized that even my life theme had been quietly directing everything in the background. So, in the previous episode for this series, I explained that my life theme is that I basically think life sucks and I need to find my own zest for life. But within the traditional learnings of human design, my life theme, which is called the right angle cross of Eden 3, it is known that you have been kicked out of Eden, or the world of comfort, and you're off to explore life and create your own slice of Eden. So by leaving perfectionism, embracing change, and navigating challenges, I am able to deepen my understanding and my desire for joy, and then cherish them even when they might not be apparent to others. So when I look at my life theme through that lens, the patterns become so much clearer. My work, my relationships, my health, they all improve when I slow down, tune in, and move from groundedness instead of urgency, pressure, emotions. So my energy is here to create spaces of calm and connection. My energy thrives in almost a turtle pace, not force. I rebuild emotional moments through presence. I'm deeply rooted in satisfaction or even peace more than productivity. And my power really does come from alignment, not output. So this is why slowing down has made my generator energy even stronger, not weaker. So embodying my own slice of Eden can activate my sacral. Last but not least, I started experimenting with my arrows, and not necessarily in the correct way or the right order, but all 4 of my arrows point left, which is also known as your variables. And one of them shows that I'm all about consistency. Of course, I knew this made sense because I'm a woman who loves structure and consistency. I thrive in spreadsheets. I used to love to color code my planner. I mean, yeah, even when I was a senior in college, I actually attended 2 colleges at the same time, taking 24 credit hours in my last semester, all the while competing as a college athlete that attended and competed at nationals. I have no clue still how I became an academic All-American and how I competed at that level for like 2 to 3, well, no, how many times? I went to nationals 3 times. Yeah. So for 3 years I did this. So like, I don't know how I did that after really sitting and feeling my alignment now. My only way of thinking this through, just because of my background, is probably because I was surrounded by other people. And that's a whole nother way that I didn't share last time, that your chart can change. So I tried doing the exact same thing in my life after college sports, and eventually I burnt out. And I didn't just do that once. I had health issues that I had to attend to, but I already had signed up for a life that was always running on empty. And it hadn't been until these last few years that I was forced through another health concern to slow down. So if you've been listening to the podcast for a while, you know that I was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2023. And honestly, everything looks really good right now, so no need to worry. But with that said, it forced me to slow down and re-examine my life. And obviously, this year and last, I took a break from social media and my podcast around the same time to really tend to myself. That season, when I was diagnosed, really forced me to slow down in a way that nothing ever else had. And it completely reshaped my relationship with consistency, which I would say up until now had been a very love-hate relationship. And something I have been toggling on back and forth. So, because of these experiences and how I was able to reflect how this stuff showed up in my life, even before dabbling into human design, before I integrated it into my coaching, um, it really has let me redefine things. Because consistency now for me is about the consistency in my alignment, not with my schedule. So, for example, I'm showing up when my sacral says yes. And I'm actually voicing that to other people if it's part of my plan, meaning if I feel called to say something. I'm also taking breaks instead of pushing through. You would be surprised that my goal for all these podcasts was to have all 5 of them recorded in one day. And that hasn't happened. My sacral's like, where you think you're getting this energy from? That's just not how you're designed. And then there's also letting my creativity lead. Right now, I'm looking at my painting as I record this. And while I know there's other steps so that I can try to finish this in the time frame that I want, I really don't have the sacral yes to go over there and paint until, dang it, right now that my sacral is lighting up. Maybe I'll do it after the podcast. Maybe not. There are repercussions of not listening to your authority sometimes. And then moving at the speed of my intuition versus moving at the speed of inspiration from others or the pressure from others due to my head center and root center has been very helpful. Intuition is definitely, if you have your spleen and your sacral defined, are 2 different feelings. It's not the gut. It's completely different. And it's going to be different for every single person. And then there's prioritizing my body over my calendar. I was telling Brad, I think it was a few weeks ago, that if I was still living in corporate America and had been diagnosed with breast cancer, I don't know how I would have been able to work. I have a whole morning routine, and that includes sometimes working out, physical therapy, lymphatic drainage massage that I do for myself. And I am a turtle. I can't even take my first call until 10 because of all the things that I need to do for myself, including wanting to make space for journaling and meditation because it helps reduce stress. So I can't imagine going back and working an 8 to 5 job. It would not be a very healthy thing for me to do. From knowing all of this, my consistency really comes from honoring my energy and not forcing a certain type of behavior. So this leads me back to you. Where have you been forcing your energy, consistency, or even productivity because you think it's what you quote unquote should do? And what might shift if you let your energy, not your expectations, lead you? If you found this episode helpful, inspirational, or maybe you're feeling pulled to explore more of this for yourself, I created something to help you get started, and it's called the Energy and Action Starter Kit. It is a simple, guided way to notice how your energy actually moves through your day, what feels aligned for you, and what feels off. You can download this for free using the link in the show notes. Like I said, it's going to be practical. One thing I have noticed when I've been creating things for clients is that I am done making everything look pretty and trying to make things look perfect, which once again really leans into some of these open centers or undefined centers, too, and will be part of my 3-5 profile discussion tomorrow. But I'm all about practical and simplicity as much as possible because it really does help not only myself, but I'm finding how much that really helps people like you, my clients, even my husband, stay grounded and really tune into the work versus looking at what's sparkly and shiny. So last but not least, if you don't have your human design chart yet, don't forget that you can also pull this on my website. Both of these resources are going to help you begin connecting the dots between your design and your lived experience. And they're the perfect companion for this week's Embodiment Series. So once again, thank you for being here with me today. I am so grateful you listened. Tomorrow, like I said, I will be back to talk about my 3-5 profile. And because I haven't recorded that one yet, it might be, it will live up to what I will tell you all about. So you have a wonderful rest of today, and I will be here again for you tomorrow. Thank you, lady, for joining me on this journey of aligning, embodying, and rising into your most authentic self. Remember, the most important relationship you have is the one you have with yourself. And when you do the inner work, you naturally attract the love and life meant for you. If today's episode resonated with you, I'd love for you to rate and review the show. Your feedback not only helps more women discover the power of self-transformation, but also helps us grow this community. If you're ready to go deeper and align with a relationship and life you truly desire, I invite you to explore my coaching services. Together, we'll use human design, NLP techniques, and self-empowerment tools to help you break through old patterns and create a life that resonates with who you truly are. Visit reinventingthearena.com to learn more and take the next steps in your journey of self-discovery and alignment. Until next time, lady, keep aligning, keep embodying, and keep rising. Thanks for listening to Reinventing the Arena.